Hey y'all, it's me, Z Infante. My pronouns are they, them, and I am the Director of Youth Outreach for the Future Perfect Project. We at the Future Perfect Project believe that the self-expression of LGBTQ plus youth and allies is a declaration of a better future for us all. Tonight we will be interviewing the miraculous and wonderful Maybe Burke, who will be joining us for our FPP Live series. I'm going to have him come right on in. Maybe is coming. Maybe is here.
Hello.
Hello, beloved. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? It's so good to see you, my love.
So good to see you too. You're still downloading on my end of things.
Oh, so you
But
haven't seen me yet.
no, I can see you like this.
Oh, great.
It's great.
We love to see it.
Buffering. It's
Oh,
coming in.
no.
I'm so glad that you're here. Okay, there you
Likewise.
are.
Oh, hello.
Yes, you fabulous human being. Thank you so very much for being with us this evening, for giving your time, your spirit, your energy. You have so much love and light in the world to give. So you choosing to give it to the youth at the Future Perfect Project is such an amazing gift, and it's just so appreciated and received and felt so very deeply.
Thank you. That's
I'm
so nice.
Well, please. That's just how we do at the Future Perfect Project. We try and keep it real from the get-go. I want to start with a little introduction. I know we know each other, but the world of the Future Perfect Project needs to get to know the Maybe Burke. So for our workshops, we have a greeting that we always do where we say our name, our pronouns in a sentence to describe how we're feeling and where we are. So I'll start and then you'll go. So, hi, my name is Z, and they are feeling grateful in Roselle Park, New Jersey. Take it away.
My name is Maybe Burke, and they are feeling overwhelmed in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Ooh, Philly, you just moved, right?
Yeah, hence the overwhelmed.
Oh, okay. It's a new spot, a new life, a new
This
artistic
bookshelf is the
community.
only thing that's presentable in my apartment.
It looks pretty. You look put together. You look put
Thank
together.
you. I do it
Um,
for the Zoom.
we gotta do it somehow. And you know what? I'm realizing more and more as we live life in this age of COVID-19 that like somehow the aesthetic is so exciting. Like I get excited just to figure out what I'm showing people. I mean,
Hmm.
right now my name is Z and I am auditioning for the role of. It's my background right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
But you are giving me fabulousness. I'm so, again, so grateful. I just want to dive right in and just find out a little bit more about you. So can you start off by telling us where you identify on the queer spectrum?
Yeah. So all over. Um, um, like my queerness is in my gender and my sexuality. I am a bisexual demi-woman, but I use a lot of different words to describe myself. Like queer is always a nice and comfy spot. I'm trans, I'm non-binary, I'm a woman and a human, and all of those things.
And now that takes me to what is like those words, woman, trans, non-binary, queer. What do those words mean to you? What value do those words have for you in your life?
Yeah, so it's like a lot of people feel like I'm contradicting myself when I use the word non-binary and I use the word woman for myself at the same time. But we all contain multitudes, right? And so as like demi-woman is the word that I feel most like comfy and whole with. And I use that to basically talk about myself as if my identity is rooted somewhat in womanhood and somewhat in some non-binary category. Um, because a lot of my experiences and a lot of the ways that I navigate the world have been through the lens of womanhood and girlhood when that was a thing. I actually just like in 2020 started using the word woman and I like was hesitant about that, and now that I'm like in my late 20s, it's like, oh, you're yep, you're a woman. It's time to start using that word.
Finding
But
out,
yeah,
yeah.
And then bisexual for me means that I'm typically find myself attracted to men and non-binary people. So it's not just men and women. It's not exclusively like a binary situation, but there are two categories that I find myself most attracted to most often.
Yeah, you just made me think of like how we choose to find words to describe what for me at least as a non-binary person, that was a word when I first found it that was like, oh, this one makes sense for how I feel
Hmm.
and what I experience within my heart and my body. So it's really beautiful and interesting to find out what that means to you. Now, how do you feel like that those identities, those words that that I feel, right? That
Hmm.
like that are feelings in a way. Um, how do you feel like that relates to your artistry, your work as an actor, which is expanding fit to TV, film, and the stage? You are all over the place.
We contain multitudes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, it's actually like my experience of my gender is actually not dissimilar to my experience of my career in that I was doing it before I claimed it. I was experiencing the world as a woman before I was calling myself one. I was I was working as an actor before I admitted it. Like I've been um I actually like didn't start I only started pursuing like commercial like mainstream acting gigs in 2018. Like I had been working like in like downtown New York um, theater for a number of years. I've been performing since the fourth grade in like community theaters on Long Island. Um, but something about the word felt scary and like something about like claiming that identity wasn't happening for me. Um, And I think the same was true of my gender for a long time. Like I was experiencing the world at least as like this like femmy little thing that was running around grasping at straws. Um, and it took me a while to like name that and settle into words that felt more like me.
Mhm. She's a femi demi. That's what she is. Yes, a femi demi. I'm taking that. I'm copywriting that term, and we're just working with it tonight. Um, it's so funny too because I think of myself and my identity as a non-binary person as sort of my route, my avenue to pursuing the feminine in that exists within me,
Hmm.
and that freedom. So it's just beautiful to see how you're relating that freedom with your artistry. That it's really beautiful. You're just a beautiful human being. And so I'm curious about this fourth grade, theater person. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that young? Because at the Future Perfect Project, we have workshops where we work with queer teens, queer youth, and we talk a lot about, speaking from your own experience and, using the I when we talk. And so I'm interested in your I experience of being that fourth grader doing theater. And did they know that they were queer? Did she know she was queer?
I mean, oh, little baby maybe did not know much. Um, I mean, like fourth grade me didn't have a concept of queerness. Like I think somewhere inside of me, I always knew everything that I am and everyone I could be. But I didn't understand that it was allowed. Like I didn't understand that it was attainable in a way that felt safe or secure. Um,
Mm.
and I mean, I remember it influencing a lot of decisions in my life and things. And like, I mean, in the fourth grade, it wasn't necessarily on my mind, but like when I was in high school and like choosing like what I wanted to like study in college and like thinking about career paths, like I was thinking of like, where can I be that I don't have to like conform to a standard or like be called Mr. something, like, and that was in the back of my mind even before I really was, even before like conversations of gender were at the forefront of my mind. Um, which now that I'm saying that, I'm like, they were. I just like wasn't, I wasn't listening to myself. Like,
Oh, I can relate. The mini Z, baby maybe mini Z. We're coming up with all these terms for each other. I love them.
I'm so happy.
The mini Z was very like I loved wearing my sister's heels. I loved playing with Barbies, all these things that I was told were associated with being feminine or being a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And what I recognize is that they, for me, at least for Big Z, is that they're assets to me now. They're like, this is Barbie and doing my makeup and wearing my heels and feeling the feminine aspect of me. That is not just drag, right? Because drag is a beautiful expression of art, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I just want to wear my heels as an expression of self, right? That like
Right.
there is there's an expanse that happens from a young age, and I love that you're clicking into that in this moment. That like there is an awareness, there is a consciousness at that age. Now I'm wondering, like, how do you live as an artist these days? What's keeping you motivated?
Um, Not much. Um, I mean, I've been very lucky that so like I double in like artistry and advocacy work, and I've been very lucky that the company that I work with, the Transgender Training Institute, has been able to like keep me going through the past year. Um, and I'm very lucky to be able to like work with them. And so most of my energy and most of my focus in the past year has actually been in that kind of work. Um, but honestly, I downloaded TikTok to replace the void theater left in my life.
Yes, you did, and you are a sensation, if you ask me. Well, okay, so this is a beautiful segue into something I wanted to talk to you about in terms of you being a content creator,
Yeah.
someone who creates, who uses their platform for social change, for education, for advocacy, as you so beautifully described already. What has that journey been like, translating your work as an artist on stage and film and TV to this digital Insta, TikTok platform? What's that transition been like for you?
I mean, to me, it all goes hand in hand. Like the reason I am the reason in like 2018 I started pursuing commercial acting gigs was actually to grow my platform for my advocacy. I was like looking around at like people who were doing the work that I was doing and like what was working and what was landing. And I realized that like I could walk into a room full of a random assortment of people and say Laverne Cox's name and everybody knows who I'm talking about, or at least like most people would know who I was talking about. And maybe only one or two would know who Janet Mock was. Even though for me, she's doing some work that like has impacted my life a lot more directly. Um, and I realized that to be because Laverne's an actress and because we see her on TV and we see her on stages and things, so we can point to her as an icon, and she has a platform that way. Not that Janet doesn't have a platform, she has a platform. Um, but I was thinking of ways to grow my platform, and I was like, well, I already am an actor, like I might as well go for it there. And that's, I mean, because the ways that I learned to do the advocacy that I do is storytelling. It's theater. It is all of that. Like I studied psychology and I understand like the ways that people learn and the ways that people's brains respond to certain emotional responses. Oh my God, hi Jojo, I see your comment. Um
Oh,
and
Jojo!
like it's all the same thing for me. Like I'm a storyteller before anything else, and my storytell like I me telling my story is a political act at this point, and me telling my story to people is an act of advocacy, whether or not I want it to be. because there aren't enough stories like mine being told. So anytime I tell a story, it's inherently going to be seen as advocacy. So I need to like ride that wave and I need to be intentional about it.
Yes, yes, intentional. That's the word that I was looking for. Just being active in my advocacy, in my activism, not just letting it be something that is happening passively, right? That like I claim my story, you know, and I see you doing that so beautifully. Like you just posted a video the other day about trigger warnings. Am I
Mhm.
correct? Right?
Yeah.
That like we need to be specific about what we're actually doing. You give tangible steps. That's what I'm trying to get at with even using this example, is that you give your audience the ability to not just walk away with like, oh, maybe said something, maybe gave me something. That's how I walk away when I watch your videos. It's like, oh, I was given tools, you know. And I'm wondering what tools in life, particularly when you were younger, that, or if there was someone that like gave you tools. Was there a person that you felt in your youth gave you tools to understand your queer identity, or your life as a queer person and as an artist?
Honestly, unfortunately, no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I learned through media. I learned through watching TV and films. I was a really terrible person when I was a young person. I was like, I was pretty mean. I was a mean girl. Um, because, like, as a young person who was assigned male at birth, that was the only brand of femininity I found that I could latch onto. And that was like the only way I could feel like the thing I wanted to feel closer to. Um, in that like catty, sassy kind of mentality. Um, and so yeah, I feel like any of like these tools or that you are asking about that I was given were actually coping mechanisms, like ways to like trial and error femininity in a way that wasn't genuine and wasn't authentic.
Yeah, yeah, I can relate to that, to feeling a little bit like a mean girl, as like a defense. Really, that like
Yeah.
It's funny because I was a child actor and I was bullied for it, and something that I realized was I became a bully to like fend off the bullies. You know, it was
Mm-hmm.
like I to
Yep.
not feel it, to not experience it, I became it, and it's really interesting
Yep.
to recognize the tools that I have today that I would want to impart to young people who are watching is that it is okay to fall down, to be vulnerable, and to expose my honesty in a way that will come out through my artistry. And that's what I think you do so beautifully as well, is you access this vulnerability in your work, that is just so beautiful and so generous. I'm curious now to like bring it in a different direction. What's like the most joyous part of being a queer person for you?
The people, the community. I mean, like being trans saved my life. Like black trans women save my life every day. Like, and I'm exaggerating a little bit when I say that, but I'm like barely exaggerating. Like, in that, like, literally just seeing the ability for people to like face a world that does not want us here and face like the legislation that's going through for like young folks right now and like all of the discrimination and the violence that people face and all of like the comments that people get on social media or just like the street and to come out on the other side stronger and like nice and like sweethearted and like compassionate is like as an adult I got to learn from those people ways to like build that empire in a way that
Mm.
was I wasn't like queen bee, but like building a community and building like a place where we can lift each other up instead of tearing each other down and like grasping for bits and pieces of attention or privilege or whatever it might be.
Whew. Yes. Yes. It just makes me think. I was in a workshop for the Future Perfect Project earlier today, and we were just talking about sharing, like the process of sharing our work in a community. And I use this imagery of a campfire, right? And how like our ancestors were these brilliant shamans, the ancestors of our storytellers, of actors and artists and musicians were the people who were willing to step into the space, and be brave in that way. And that's what I hear translated from you in terms of community, right? So like we lift each other up. We as queer people have the ability to lift up the most marginalized in our community. So true. Now, can you tell us a little bit about, I don't know, maybe a piece of content that you've created recently that you're really passionate about, or that you feel like the world needs to hear again, or these young people need to hear even?
I mean, I haven't really, I mean, other than like my TikTok, I haven't really been like creating recently. Um, but I mean, yeah, in terms of like, so a lot of the work that I've been focusing on recently isn't necessarily things for trans people, but it's for cis people to learn how to do better to trans folks. But like a thing that I've always wanted to like make a recurring in my career is my first solo show that I wrote, Love Letters to Nobody, which is just like a series of letters to all the people who have hurt me, which sounds really sad, but like sometimes it's funny. And yeah, it's literally like it's a series of me like talking to my exes and like some other folks. Um, and like 75% of the material is actually things that I've said to these people. I like literally like dramaturged my own life and went through and like researched and pulled like text messages and like emails I had sent and Facebook messengers and AOL Instant Messenger when that was a thing, and I'm aging myself on that. Yeah.
I feel you.
And so it's like a very honest and very like vulnerable piece of me talking to all of these people, but it's also completely subjective because like it's all from my perspective, right? Like it's all my take of what happened. And then the rest of the material is either like I like summarized a conversation that we had or something, or like there are some letters that like I wish I could have said to these people, you know, and some things like that. Um, and yeah, I've done it a couple of times, and one of the last times that I did it, a friend of mine was talking to me about it afterwards, and she was like, "Young people need this." And it's a thing that I heard from a lot of trans people when they saw it. Kit Yan, who I love and adore, the first time I did it, Kit told me it was the first time they had ever seen a trans femme on stage who loved herself. Um, and just getting that message, I was like, well, now I need everyone to see this. I need to like do it as many times as I can. Um, because the stories about us are never for us, or like so seldom for us. And stories about like love with us are usually told through the perspective of our lover instead of from our point of view. Um, and so to have a show where there is a trans person and specifically a trans femme on stage, and you don't even get to see who any of the people they're talking to are, you just get to see them experiencing all of the pieces, and you get to see me talking to these people and like demanding respect or love, or requesting affection and things like that. Um, I just want as many people to see that as an option. as possible.
Oh, that's so brilliant and so in line with what I identify and can and recognize your mission to be. It's so beautiful. Wow. Wow. Now I'm wondering, you've given so much beautiful life already. I'm wondering if you could give a suggestion or share a thought with queer youth in high school today. What might that be?
You're right. Like, who you are is who you are, and like the words that you're using might change. The ways that you navigate certain situations might be changing, but you're right. And like nobody can take that away from you. There's nothing that anybody is going to say that can change the ways that you feel and the ways that you exist. We can let them change the ways we navigate that and the ways that we communicate that, but they'll never change who we are, right? Like, and that's especially for like young actors. I talk about this all the time that like you don't need to apologize for not fitting a role. Like, you don't need to apologize for your multiplicities not falling into the canon. Like, the musical theater canon specifically is so not built for us, and in ways is actually built against us. And I think that more more people could see our experiences if we let go of trying to fit into what is expected of us.
This is why I was really excited to talk to you tonight. You just like give me, I'm like getting emotional on this end. It's like very real. It's very real, girl. You keep it real, and that's what I appreciate about you. So before we go, I want to ask you, so we're the Future Perfect Project, right? We provide these free workshops to queer youth. Free. Sorry. Free. You know that commercial, the free commercial?
I don't.
Oh my God, I think it's like Optimum
Free.
Tax, something like some tax service. Where it's like
Great.
free. It's the only word they use in the advertisement is free. And so what I'm getting at is our arts programming is all
Free.
yes. And so we often imagine what a more perfect future would look like. And I'm wondering if you can describe to us what the perfect future might look like to you.
Nothing like this. I think that to me, like remodeling a system that isn't working is never gonna work. Burning it down and building it back up from the ground is how we go about that. And for me, like I don't even want to answer that because I don't think I'm a person who should be at the forefront of that conversation. But I know that for me, perfect exists in a way that is not expected. Like I made another video on TikTok about this recently. That like I consider myself to be perfect because my definition of perfection allows for mistakes and allows for hardship and failing forward and learning to do better because my version of being perfect is being flawed, and that's perfect. And I think the future we need is that too. I don't want these like polished kind of like we don't talk about anything hard kind of mainstream representations of people. I want the nitty gritty. I want what's real. And I want the people who are experiencing what we're talking about to be at the forefront of every conversation we have.
Oof. Louder for the people in the back. Your laugh is infectious. I live for you.
Oh, I love you.
It's so wonderful to get to know you just on a deeper level through, I know you through Musical Theater Factory. So now to have a more beautiful conversation with you is just fills my heart with such gratitude. You are truly a remarkable human being and someone that so many people look up to and admire. Someone even just commented in the post that they did a research project on you.
What?
Someone? Yes.
On me?
Sweet
I'm so
Pasta
sorry.
did a school project on you. They literally love you and you are so inspiring. So you are doing the good work that is necessary for us to be more free and more to live in that perfect future. I love you said fail forward, right? When we fall, we got to get back up, learn from it. I just took so much from what you had to say tonight. Is there anything else that you'd like to throw out into the universe, or are you feeling whole and complete, or?
I'm feeling whole and complete. I'm just laughing at the fact that I'm a research topic.
Yes, you are, because you're making it happen, girl. Yes, boom. The Vay Power.
Say power.
Yes.
You and your slogans. I cannot.
I live for it. I love the cliche. Okay. What a wonderful evening together. Thank you so very much. For those of you who are still watching, we are the Future Perfect Project. We believe that the self-expression of LGBTQ plus youth is a declaration of a better future for us all. Maybe Burke was our amazing guest this evening. If you enjoyed our conversation, please follow us. Please follow Maybe, and keep spreading the love. We thank you so much, Maybe.
Thank you, Z.
Have a beautiful rest of your night.
Likewise.
Bye.
Boo.